Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Legacy Farmer, the podcast. This is your host, Jace D. Young, and today's topic of discussion is this: the only opinion that matters. So, unlike, a lot of you sitting here listening to this podcast, I didn't grow up any different than a lot of you did. Grew up in a small town where everybody knows everybody. Everybody's in each other's business. There is rumors like the plague inside of these small towns, and everybody loves to gossip and gossip and gossip and gossip, and I get it. Now, the problem is, though, is as you when I was younger, and you're probably going to relate with this, right? It conditions you to think a certain way as you're growing up, and you constantly hear about all the gossip going around and all these people that are worried about what everybody else thinks about them and crap like that. It's just that inevitable cycle that if you grow up in a small town, you are going to live through. And the problem is as you get to an adulthood, if you carry that mindset with you, good luck ever doing anything different in your life. Now, for a lot of years for me, when I was in the bank, when I first started at the bank, I knew that that's not where I wanted to be. I could have told you that the first 2 weeks. I was like, nope, this isn't the life that I want. It was extremely boring. There was no excitement. Just the politics inside the office and crap like that. I was like, yeah, this isn't going to be for me long term. But I stayed in that seat for 5 or 6 years. And the reason that I did was because I was going through a mental battle with myself around, if I did make the jump or I did leave, what is everybody else going to think about it? What is everybody else going to say? And that held me hostage. Like that mindset held me hostage for 5 or 6 years out of my life. Now think about that. Think about the people around you, or maybe it's even your life. Maybe you're in your 30s or 40s. Think about how many years people around them are held hostage because of the fear of what others' opinions will think about them if they do this or do that with their life, especially on the big decisions, right? That's where we freeze the most, is because we're worried about what our parents might think, what people in the community might think, or whatever, if we're looking at making a big decision for our life, for our family, for our business, for whatever, right? For whatever. And that holds a lot of people hostage. Now, again, think about that, though. Some people have been held hostage for decades. For decades. They've sat, they've done nothing, they've taken no action, they've sat there and they felt guilty and shameful because deep down they know that they don't believe in themselves. They're too worried about everybody else's opinion. And then, after a long time of that going by, it's pretty easy for us then to just start blaming other people and like, I couldn't do this because you said this, or you would have said this, or you would have done that, or whatever. You experience this in, working with family, your community, your marriage potentially as well. And so here's like what actually matters, my friend. And this is where I think a lot of people would actually solve a lot of problems and get a lot more clarity around the decisions that they need to make, and also give them the courage to take them. And it's simply this: do not worry about the opinions of others on big life decisions that you're making. Big life decisions or small life decisions, doesn't matter. There's only one opinion you should care about, and that's God. Because at the end of the day, there's only one person you're going to have to answer to, and that's Him, right? I truly believe at the end of the day, we're all going to have to face that. And like the way I imagine it is, I'm going to meet Him, walk up to the gates, and He's going to have this list here around, hey, this is what you did. You did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. Here's the things that you could have done that you didn't do, right? And you did this, and you did this. And this is what would have happened if you would have done those things. If you would have just believed in yourself, if you would have taken the chance, if you would have not worried about what the small-minded people around you are thinking about you, and just focused on like the only opinion that really matters, which is mine. And so, guys, that's what I like when I'm thinking about any decisions I'm making inside of my life. Yes, initially I'm worried about how it's going to impact my family, like my wife and my kids and everything like that. But at the end of the day, like we're all going to die. At the end of the day, we're all going to have to meet our maker. And at the end of the day, there's only one opinion that really matters, and that's His. That's God's. And so again, this is like when I started to really think about things this way, that's what gave me the courage to leave the bank. I remember sitting in the last bank meeting the day that I resigned. It was a Saturday morning. I was sitting there looking across the desk at my boss at the time, who was a complete a-hole. And just like there was this voice inside of me saying, you have to go, you have to go, you have to go, you have to go. And like I was scared to death. I was shaking. I was scared to death. And the moment after I made that decision, I felt so much freedom. I felt so much peace and everything. Now there was things that followed and years of struggle and challenges becoming an entrepreneur, but that was part of the path. I was meant to go through that. God meant for me to go through that. And we've had so many great things come into our lives now because I made that decision, because I focused on what His opinion would have been of me if I'd went to the gates and I died and go to meet Him. And what would he have said if I didn't make that decision? We wouldn't have what we have today. Legacy Farmer and 300 plus families that we have in there, like they wouldn't be there. Maybe God meant for me to start this and then bring in the right people on the team. And then for all of us to have this impact on one another inside of Legacy Farmer, which is truly what's happening. And it's significant, it's powerful, and I love it. And I'm so grateful for it. But then I think about like, man, what if I didn't make that decision? Like, what if I have to step up and answer to him? He's like, hey, you didn't have the guts to make this decision. You were so worried about what other people's opinions of you would have been. This is what could have happened for you, right? And so when you think about it from that dynamic, my friends, it really changes everything. It changes all your decisions. It changes the courage and the motivation you need behind the decision, but it also puts the decision into perspective as well. Yes, other people around you are going to be impacted by your decisions. This is reality. My wife and my kids were impacted by my decision to leave the bank. I get it. But at the end of the day, life is not really that serious, seeing as how we're all going to die one day. We're going to have to answer to him. So you might as well take the shot. You might as well let go of other people's opinions. You might as well focus on his and do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. And in doing that, you're going to piss other people off. But man, you are going to bring extreme happiness to yourself and your family. Maybe not immediately. It might take a couple years, but long term, you will be so much happier. The biggest fear I have in my life is that I'm 95 on my deathbed and I have regrets. Like, that's what I don't want to feel at that age. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything in my life now. And some things are scary. Some things are, a little bit unnerving, and I'm nervous about them and things like that. But at the end of the day, man, you look back at your life, are you going to be happy you did them or not? And you have your conversation with God to see, you can be like, man, you should have done this, So again, a lot of you are in the same position that I was in. And, it doesn't ever stop either. You consistently have to make these decisions throughout your life. I'm having to consistently make them in mine as well, especially as we expand and grow Legacy Farmer, jumping into different areas, providing more value to our customers, and jumping into areas of the unknown for us, which is fine. It's part of the process. And in part of that, I have to trust God. I have to trust that he's leading me and guiding me exactly where I've always been destined to go. I just got to trust his path and I got to walk it. Or the alternative is I stay where I'm at. I never move. I'm stuck on this, negative loop for the next several decades, and I have nothing but regret in my life. And a lot of you, when you look at your life right now, that's where you're headed. And this may just be like, you need to make a big decision on the farm. Maybe it's separating out and building your own thing. Maybe it's having a crucial conversation with your parents. Maybe it's having a crucial conversation with your wife. Maybe it's, stepping out and building your own business. Whatever it is, you have to trust the opinion of God, because at the end of the day, that's the only one that matters. That's the person that you're going to have to answer to. And that, we have to answer to our spouse and our parents and all that crap. I get it, right? But at the end of the day, do those really matter? Yes, in the short term they do. But long term, which ones really matter? And this is why I'm talking about when it comes to the big life decisions, the ones that really matter long term, there's only one opinion you should care about, and that's God's. So that's it. I'm going to leave you with that today. I hope it had a profound impact on your life, and I hope you take action because of it. So that concludes today's message, and I will catch you on the next episode.